Okay. It is June 1st, 2025. The Luka Doncic trade happened exactly 5 months ago. I remember that day like it was yesterday, February 1st, 2025. I was sitting on the couch and my brother, he came in the room. He was like, "What happened with Luka Doncic?" And I was like, "What happened?" I was getting nervous. My heart was beating. I thought something had happened, like tragic. And then my brother was like, "I don't know what happened. My friends just keep saying, 'No, Luka, no.'" So then I immediately hopped up and got on my phone to see what was going down, like what happened with Luka. And I searched him up, and then I saw Luka Doncic traded to the Lakers for Anthony Davis. I thought it was fake. It immediately happened, and I got up and I said, "No way, no way. This can't be real." I was like, "No way, this can't be real." And then I saw Shams tweeted it. I saw him, he tweeted it, and I was like, "It's real." So I saw it was real, and I immediately went to my dad and I told him. And my dad and I were both Mavericks fans, been fans for several years now. My dad, he owned season tickets until we moved about 7 years ago, but we still watch the games a lot. So I told him, and my dad, he was like, "What?" He didn't think it was real either, but I said it's real, and my dad looked it up too, and we both are just flabbergasted. We're like, "What's going on with Dallas?" And they traded Luka, and I didn't think they'd ever do that, so it was a shock, especially because they just went to the finals last year, or even a few months ago at that point. So it's like, why did they trade Luka, especially to the Lakers, and they didn't go anywhere else? Like, it was an out of nowhere trade. They didn't even look at anybody, any other teams. I'm like, they could have got anybody. And then all this stuff came out now. So it's like I said, June 1st, and the Mavericks got the number one pick, which I was so shocked they got. I was like, we get Cooper Flag. I didn't know, like, I wanted Cooper, but I was like, I don't think this is going to happen. And then Dallas gets the number one pick, and I was like, okay, that Luka trade it was rigged. Some people are like, it's not rigged, it's impossible, it couldn't have been rigged. But I'm like, Los Angeles Lakers, then the Mavericks get the number one pick, and Cooper Flag, they had 1.8% chance. And Mavericks have never leaped up in the draft, on the draft lottery, ever. So that was all just like sus. It's very suspicious. Like, how did they trade Luka to the Lakers, and then we get the number one pick? And on top of that, right, I was like, LA and Luka makes the most sense in the terms of NBA and what the NBA is trying to do. So it's like Los Angeles, the NBA does good when the Lakers do good. The three teams that basically make the NBA the most money: Lakers, Knicks, possibly Celtics, and Warriors, probably tied. Well, the Lakers are the team that is probably not going to do too good whenever LeBron James retires. And LeBron, like he was saying, I might not be here in about 2 years. He might retire. And so the NBA was like, we got to scramble. This is all allegedly, by the way. I'm just saying stuff. It's not real. Allegedly. I'm thinking the NBA's like, okay, LeBron James, he's about to retire. And the Lakers, they'll just have Anthony Davis. But Anthony Davis by himself isn't going to do us good in the NBA. And so I was like, from the NBA, and I'm looking at all the superstars and the teams, who do I look at? Who will it impact the least? And I said, Luka Doncic and the Mavericks. Because you can't take Nikola out of Denver. You can't put Jason Tatum in the Lakers. It's not going to hit like that. It will hit, but not as hard. But you can't take Jalen or Jason out of Boston, right? Out of Boston. Because Boston just went to the finals. But then you're like, Luka just went to the finals too. Anyways, I don't know. I had a really good, like, how to articulate it, but now I lost it. But I'm thinking, like, the NBA was like, okay, Luka, he's a superstar, international superstar. Let's put him on the Lakers. He's one of the younger superstars too, so the Lakers can have a longer chance of still being successful after LeBron is gone with Luka there. Anyways, the trade as a whole, the Luka and AD trade, I was like, we could have got anybody. Now, I don't even know if Luka Doncic could have got to the Mavericks, Nikola Jokic, Jason Tatum, maybe. Jalen Brunson's not coming back to the Mavericks. Stephen Curry's not leaving the Warriors, but like Giannis and the Bucks. Now Giannis might leave the Bucks, but I'm like, I don't know. Like, Anthony Davis. Mavs fans were not too high on Anthony Davis. I know he's good. I know he's great. It's just that injury history. He gets injured a lot. So as Mavs fans, we're not liking Anthony Davis, especially because he played one game, only played 3 quarters in his first game in the Mavericks uniform, and he got injured. That was not a good start. And then the Mavs season just plateaued after that. And the Mavs fans, like, they were on the down end. They were depressed out here after the trade. Me, I was okay. I was like, what happened happened. But some of those fans, they do not know how to let it go. I said this. I was like, the Mavericks, they can win a championship before the Lakers do with Anthony Davis and Luka with the Lakers. I think Mavericks have a better chance, especially now with the number 1 pick, Cooper Flag. If they draft him, which I hope they do, I don't know what they might do, but I think they can win a championship. But their window, Mavericks' window, is a lot smaller than the Lakers' window. Like I said, Luka's 26 years old. NBA players probably max out around 35. That's 9 years for the Lakers, and the Mavericks have probably 5 years because Kyrie Irving is like 34, Anthony Davis is 33, 32. They don't have that many years to get the championship, but I think they can get a championship before the Lakers. But they all, like, the Mavericks need to fix their roster, but Cooper Flag will help the Mavericks a lot. The Lakers made the playoffs, but they didn't look too good, so I don't know. But Lakers always get players, so I think they'll be good. And they have Luka. I'll tell a little story about Luka. Me and Luka, right? Not me and Luka. I don't know him. But I'm saying, like, when the Mavericks drafted Luka. So back in 2018, the Mavericks drafted Luka Doncic. Well, how it happened was Mavericks had 5th pick, Atlanta had 3rd pick, Mavericks drafted 5th Trae Young, and then Atlanta drafted Luka 3rd pick, and then DeAndre Ayton went number 1, number 2 Marvin Bagley. Okay, and the Mavericks, they traded Trae Young to Atlanta and like a pick for like the 2019 draft. I think they drafted DeAndre Hunter with that one. But they traded for Luka on draft night, the Mavericks did. And when they did that, I was watching it. I may have been like, I was very young. And so I didn't know nothing about Luka. He was some international young player, but I didn't know anything about him. So whenever they traded Trae Young, who I knew about, I was like, no! Oh my gosh, are you serious? They're so stupid. That was me. But turns out they were really smart trading for Luka. But like when they traded for Luka, I was like, what are they doing? I really wanted Michael Porter Jr. The Mavericks to draft him, but we're seeing how that turned out for Denver. But Trae Young, I was like, okay, Trae Young, he's a good player though, but he's not as good as Luka. But yeah, that's just me on the draft night. And then Luka, his rookie year, he looked amazing. I was like, wow, Luka can play. And then he kept getting better and better. His best season, in my personal opinion, 2020, that season. I think when he was in the bubble, he was just super in shape. He was just crazy. I remember watching the Clippers and the Mavericks playoff series, game 4. Luka hit that step back to the left jumper, 3-pointer for the game-winning shot. They didn't win the series, but yeah. I wore, I think, this shirt, and they did win that game. I watch playoff games with the Mavericks, and I always wear a Mavericks shirt. I have a lot of them. And if they win when I'm in one of the shirts, I'll wear it again, that type of thing. A lot of memories with Luka on my team, my Dallas Mavericks NBA team, and I was sad to see him go. I know I've always said Luka, he's a good player, he's a great player, amazing player, but there's some things he can work on, like we all can. But him, most importantly, like defense. They always say he's out of shape. I don't know. He's an athlete still, but like defense, Some people say he's out of shape. Yeah, I mean, compared to his rookie year to now, the guy has put on a lot of weight. But he's still like the greatest player, one of the greatest players in the modern NBA right now. So, I mean, what are you going to tell him? Like, you need to lose 50,000 pounds before the new season starts, or you're not going to play. You cannot not play Luka. You cannot play Luka. You know. Anyways, my one thing with Luka was like defense, and we know, like, if you watch Mavs games, you know, Luka, he would get upset with the refs, and he would just complain to the refs and not go back on offense or like on defense. I mean, and we were just, it was really frustrating. But then he was on defense and he didn't have any effort at all. That was my one complaint about Luka. And Mavs fans were starting to get, some Mavs fans even back then, they were like, trade Luka now. And now those same people are like, why'd they trade Luka? But a lot of good memories. I remember watching Luka drop that 73 points, 75 points versus Atlanta. He loves playing against Atlanta. He loves playing against the Clippers. Now he loves playing against the Mavericks. He doesn't do too good versus the Knicks or like the Celtics. I remember that, yeah. But Mavericks and Clippers series, that was really, those series were always really good. And we finally beat them. And that's when we went to the finals. But then they got smoked by the Clippers. I mean, the Celtics. They got smoked by the Celtics, and I was like, but I was just saying they can run it back, maybe add more players, and then they can possibly go head to head with the Celtics. And the Celtics aren't even in the finals anymore. They got bounced. So I'm like, Mavericks could have won the championship this year. But yeah, I mean, he's a Laker now. I think he'll re-sign with them. A lot of people are like, is he going to re-sign? Is he going to leave? Also, I remember Luka hitting those 2 game winners versus the Boston Celtics. Like, I think it was 2022. A lot of good memories from Luka. In that shot over the Trailblazers in his rookie year, he did that, the shot, and it went up. And then from the sideline, he was like leaning as he took that shot. The Memphis Grizzlies, he was like lunged forward at the 3-point line and made that game-winning shot. That was like some of my favorite things to watch. Luka highlights are his game winners and like his clutch plays and stuff like that. But lots of memories from Luka being a Mavs player at Dallas Mavericks. But like, I'm still a fan of the Mavericks. By the way, I'm not leaving because where else am I going to go? I'm not going to be like I don't know what other team I'm not a Rockets fan or a Spurs fan, no. I'm a Mavericks fan. Luckily for us, the team is still pretty good without Luka. Obviously, they made the play and they got absolutely obliterated, but they still made the play in, so that was without Kyrie Irving, too. But imagine Kyrie Irving, Anthony Davis, Cooper Flag, and whoever else they get. I think they'll be a pretty good team. It's just a little sad because Luka won't be there. And you know, Luka did not want to leave the Mavericks, which made it even worse, him not even wanting to leave, and they just traded him. It would have been one thing if Luka was like, I'm done with Dallas, so they requested trade, but he did not do anything like that. They just traded him. The Mavericks kind of, you know, when Nico Harrison came to the Mavericks and he kind of transformed the team, it was a bit rough at the beginning, but he transformed the team and we made the finals. They made the finals. I'm not part of the team. Well, I guess I'm a fan. But they made the finals, and I was like, okay, Nico's a pretty good GM. And then he did the Luka trade. Everybody hates Nico now. Like, it's been crazy. If you are in those spaces, like NBA spaces, especially the Dallas Mavericks fan space, Mavs fans are having a rough time. And the Mavericks getting the number 1 pick put some of that heat off of Nico's back because everybody was like attacking that man. Me, I was like, now that it's kind of looking like it's rigged, allegedly, everyone's kind of like, okay, well, it makes sense. Some people still don't like Nico, but I'm like, it makes sense now. He probably had to do it. I don't know. But what's done is done. We gotta move on. I'm glad we got Cooper and the Flag, though, because now we have something to look forward to, because I was not looking forward to Kyrie Irving being out for a lot of the season next season, and us having to be led by Anthony Davis. Like, no disrespect to Anthony Davis, but it's like he's out all the time. They call him street clothes because he's never playing because he's always injured. And I'm like, I don't think he can lead a team. That's why he's never won as a number one, but he's won as a number two. The Mavericks just need a point guard in place of Kyrie and a backup point guard. And I want the Mavericks to like put Klay Thompson off the bench, let him come off the bench, but I don't know if they'll do that. They need a shooting guard, but I think they put Cooper at shooting guard. That would be nice. But I think you can put him at power forward or something. Like, I don't know what the lineups are going to look like. I'm not a big fan of Jason Kidd, but he's going to be here for a while. So, a Dallas Mavericks fan, me, Aria, when I think about the trade is, I wish it didn't happen, but we do have to be real. Like, I kind of thought about it. I was like, I don't think Luka Doncic will ever win a championship just off the style of play. I know that's hard. That's hard to hear, but I don't think like he's a really good player. But like, is he ever going? It's kind of people comparing to James Harden. James Harden has never won a championship, and maybe his style of play. I don't know. Maybe it's just unfortunate events, but he's been on some really good teams. And I think Luka, he's like a big offensive guy, not zero defense. But I think you have to put the right pieces around Luka, and that's what the Mavericks were doing. But I guess they gave up on him. But I was like, I would have stuck it out a few more years and then traded him if it didn't work. Because I'm like, the Mavericks stayed stuck with Dirk for 21 seasons, and they only got one championship out of it, but they didn't move on after like only 7 years. The Mavericks were getting like closer and closer and closer to the finals every single year. So it's kind of weird that they just traded the one guy who brought them all that way there, you know. But that's it for this video. This is just a little all over the place video about the Mavericks and the Luka Doncic trade. I didn't really talk about it too much. I had mentioned it previously, just here and there, but not fully. So I just wanted to make a video about it. I personally am over the Luka trade. I know when he does play Mavericks, I'll be sad though. I did nearly cry when they did trade him like a few months ago in February. But I'm like, okay, let it happen. Let's move on. For Luka Doncic to score like 50,000 points every time he plays the Mavericks from here on out. But luckily we have Cooper Flag, and we just gotta move on, and hopefully he turns out how we think he's gonna turn out, and he could be our next superstar. But yeah, that's it for this video. And if you want more NBA content from me, let me know down below. You know I love basketball. Comment down below, what are your thoughts on the trade? What do you think may happen with the Lakers? What do you think may happen with the Mavericks? And subscribe to my channel. My goal is to get to 200 subscribers. I'm at 159 currently, so let's get there. And go Mavericks.